Hammered it. Yep, there he is. Ah. Whoa. Oh. Whoo. Good morning, guys. Real quick, I'm gonna show you how to fish a chatterbait in the summertime in the grass. All right, so my conditions today are cloudy, low light conditions, a little bit of wind on the water, not much, but I'm fishing submerged hydrilla or submerged grass, and all the conditions, everything determines the fact that I need to be throwing something that's moving, at least to start with, to be able to find fish, be able to catch a few. And when I have submerged grass, the very first thing I pick up is going to be a chatterbait. Why? Because a chatterbait comes through the grass so much better than just about anything when you're talking about moving baits. You don't spend a whole lot of your time ripping grass loose, because that blade will glide right up over top of the grass and pull the bait right over top of it at the same time. And when you hit the grass, you get the reaction strike. But first of all, let's go over the rod and the reel that I'm using. Now, I'm fishing grass, which for me, when I'm fishing hydrilla, milfoil, anything else, I always beef up my rod just a hair. I normally would throw a chatterbait, like in the early spring when there's not a whole lot of grass. I'll throw it on a medium moderate or a medium heavy moderate action rod or a medium fast action rod. Well, I've beefed this up. I've got a medium heavy power fast action rod. This is a 7'5", kind of a jig rod. Same rod I'd throw a swim jig on. And 20-pound test fluorocarbon. If I catch a big bass, which very likely I could out of this grass, I need a heavy line to be able to rip out of the grass. I might go full braid. I just don't have any on this reel. 65, 55-pound braid would work just fine. Even 30-pound braid would work. 8:1 gear ratio reel, and just a fast reel so you can get it back and make another cast, or you can catch up with a fish that hits it coming along. But anyway, so let's talk about my choice in chatterbaits. Well, my favorite chatterbait, it's no surprise. I've been fishing them for years. I've talked about them. I've got, it's my confidence chatterbait. It's the Project Z chatterbait. It's just got a really good hook. It's got a good shaped head, got stainless steel blade. That little clip right here is excellent. Everything that used to be wrong with the chatterbait has been fixed with this, and that's why I fish it. The trailer that I use is really any paddle tail trailer would work this time of year. In the summertime, especially in the heat dead of the summertime, I almost always use a paddle tail trailer or a twin tail grub, but a paddle tail trailer is usually what I use. And the bass are all feeding on bait fish. They're feeding on bluegill, and it's just a no-brainer for me. All right, so there's several different retrieves that I use. If I'm fishing grass that's just barely under the surface, maybe a foot, 2 feet under the surface, I'm gonna start reeling pretty quick. As soon as it hits the water, I'm gonna start reeling. I'm still gonna try, the goal is to try to hit everything that I possibly can, bump into every blade of grass. So if I'm not feeling anything, I let it sink until I start to feel something. And look at me, there's no consistent reeling. I'm feeling everything that I'm bumping into, and I'm pulling through it. So just sit here and watch me. Oh, never mind, don't watch me. I'm gonna catch this big fish. I hit a blade of grass, that's all it takes. It's not a big keeper. Oh yeah, boy, he hammered it too. I love it when a plan comes together. So like I was saying when I was so rudely interrupted by that fish, the goal is to bump everything that you can. So you're gonna let it sink until you start to hit things. And just watch me reel for a minute. I'm not feeling anything, so I stopped to let it sink a little bit. But I'm letting it sink on a tight line and it fall down, kind of penduluming them down. It really doesn't make any difference, but just so I can feel when it stops. Now I'm just dragging it across the grass. All right, let me do it one more time. Throw it out, let it sink 2, 3, or 4 feet. You can let it sink all the way to the bottom, I don't care, but the goal is to get that blade vibrating, make sure you can feel it. So when you bump something, you stop feeling it, you know it's a blade of grass. I'm not feeling, there we go. I was gonna say I'm not feeling anything, but then I started feeling something. And I just pull it through the grass. When it hits a blade of grass, I don't jerk it, I just kind of pull. And that blade pulls it right over top of it. All right, so let me tell you about my boat positioning right now. I'm positioned on the outside edge of the grass. I'm in 7.5 feet of water. The grass is in 6 feet of water. This is a gradual flat. In other words, it gradually gets shallower and shallower. The shallowest it gets is about 5.5 feet, so it's not much of a rise. And so I'm positioned on the outside edge. The edge runs right here, right along the corner of the boat, actually about 4 or 5 feet out from the corner of the boat. And it runs right there. And so I'm staying on the outside edge, but I'm casting over the edge into the grass and pulling it out. And that fish actually bit as soon as I pulled it out of the outside edge of the grass. So that tells me a little something. At least that fish was on the outside edge. So another thing I might throw is position myself where I think I'm close to the outside edge and then start throwing like a creature bait or a Texas rig worm, probably a Texas rig worm, but I like to catch them on a chatterbait. Now, another option to fish it in this grass, especially if the grass is deeper and really not grown up as much. In other words, it's probably, you know, if you get grass that's 8, 10 feet deep, that's only 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall. You throw out, I'm gonna try to throw along the edge of the grass, maybe I'll catch something. You let it sink all the way to the bottom. And I fish it a lot like I would a swim jig, really. One of the ways I'd fish a swim jig is I pop it up and I let it sink back down, but I let it sink on a tight line. And I'm not popping fast, I'm just yo-yoing it. Up and down. And what that'll do is it'll fall down into the bottom and get into that short grass. And then when you rip it out, it causes a commotion and the bass will hit it on the next fall. Is basically what I'm doing. And man, when I'm telling you, when they hit that thing, that bite is, they want to destroy that bait. So it's one of my favorite ways to catch them. I love every way to catch them. I always say it's one of my favorite ways to catch them. All right, now when the grass is really shallow, I mean just barely, there's tips of it sticking out of the top, but not very many, I start reeling immediately. And then I have my rod down and to the right, because what'll happen is you'll get hung in some of that grass and you've got to pop it loose. But you don't want to rip it 5 feet away from the fish. You just want to pop it, so it's just like this. And you're always ready to pop it. You hit that grass, boom, and you just give it a good pop and it'll rip out of that grass. And that's mainly when it gets really, really thick and there's a lot of vertical grass, especially in the hydrilla. And this is what you're trying to avoid. You're trying to avoid bringing in salad just like this. And a good thing about hydrilla is it rips really easy. All you have to do is pop your bait through. And that's why I like a chatterbait anyways, because it tends to not only rip through it, it'll pop over top of it. My choice and weight of a chatterbait for this situation is I'm fishing, like I said, I'm fishing about 7.5 feet of water. Some of the grass is real tall, some of it's real short. I chose a 1/2 ounce because I can keep it down a little bit better. And it helps me to feel a little bit more of what's down there and feel each little piece of grass that I'm pulling through. I want you guys to kind of watch what I'm doing. Is I pull it up to a piece of grass and I hit it, and then I just kind of jerk down with my rod just to pull it through the rest of the way. That keeps me from pulling way. I mean, I push down like that to keep me from jerking it too far away from whatever fish may react to it bumping into that blade of grass. Another thing you guys might ask is, what does the bite feel like? The best thing I can explain is get used to what it feels like when that bait is coming up to that blade of grass, or anyway, the stem of grass, bumping it and pulling through it. And anything different is probably a bite. And so, and a lot of times it'll feel very different to you. So you get in there, you start dragging through, and you just, feel what it feels like when that line starts to get a little tension because it's coming up the blade of grass, what it feels like when that bait bumps the grass. And this goes with any lure. And then anything different is a bass. If you lose contact with it when you really shouldn't, that's the hardest bite to detect, is when it should be vibrating, so you're not hitting anything, all of a sudden, goop, you knock slack in the line, and you set the hook, and you set it quick, because it's usually a big fish. I don't know how many times I've caught big fish when the line just went slack. Wind's starting to pick up a little bit, that's nice. There he is, guys. Man, don't forget the hook set. Pay attention to what I just did in that hook set. You gotta hammer it home. It's critical. You got a big old thick hook. That hook's kind of tough sometimes to get into the roof of their mouth, but it's fun to catch them. Absolutely fun to catch them out of the grass. It's one of my favorite places, especially in the summertime. You find the grass, you find the bass. Sweet. Well, guys, like I always say, be sure to introduce them to fishing, introduce them to our channel. Let me help you teach them how to fish. More importantly, get out on the water, go out and catch a fish. Have a great day. And before I go, Justin Rackley, Lake Fork guy, you guys, if you guys haven't heard, I know a lot of you guys have heard that he has been diagnosed with a brain tumor. His insurance company is pretty much screwing him. So to raise money, he's got a t-shirt that is just awesome. It's just an awesome t-shirt, 25 bucks a piece. All the money goes towards helping him with his medical bills. I'll put the link down in the description. You guys go click on it. Go help the brother out. He's my buddy, and I'm happy to call him my friend. So y'all take it easy. We'll see you.